We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Detroit Lions in Detroit. This is your Week 2 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe button if you're new. Also hit the like button. This is a rematch of what happened last year in the NFL playoffs. The Lions get back-to-back rematches. They just went out there and they defeated the Los Angeles Rams last week. They beat them in a wild card round last year, and now they're going to face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's start off with the Detroit Lions. Last week was a very Dan Campbell type of win. They went into overtime and they beat the Los Angeles Rams 26-20. Jared Goff on the day had 217 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. But they ran their way to that victory, especially in overtime. They gassed out the Los Angeles Rams defense. David Montgomery had 17 carries for 91 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 11 carries for 40 yards, and they both had a touchdown apiece. David Montgomery got things going late in the game, especially with the run that went for 21 yards. And Jameson Williams was their leading wide receiver. No, it was not Amon-Ra St. Brown. It was not the big tight end, Sam Laporta. It was Jameson Williams, a guy that was a first-round pick a couple of years ago. He finally had that breakout game for 5 catches and 121 receiving yards on the day. And one of those catches went for 52 yards, and that was a touchdown play. It's basically a free play because it was a flag. In this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have to test out their secondary. Todd Bowles loves to blitz. Last week, he did not blitz as much against Jaden Daniels, but we know that he loves to blitz. The last time these two teams faced each other, the Detroit Lions won the football game, and Jared Goff spread the football out. But Jameson Williams was not able to do much. Now, I'm not saying that Jameson Williams is going to go out there and have another game like how he had last week, because he doesn't need to. But Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta did not have big games last week, because Jameson Williams did majority of the damage. That is what makes this Detroit Lions team so scary. They have weapons every single place on the offensive end, and their offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Jared Goff barely gets touched, and when he does, he's going to throw the football deep down the field because they have bought him enough time from tackle to tackle, even when they're dealing with injuries. So the key to victory in this game is to try to run the football as much as possible, because we know that Dan Campbell, he loves to do that. You have a great offensive coordinator who one day will be a head coach, and Coach Johnson. Last week, they ran the football. Jared Goff had the 1 bad interception. You want to reel back from that. You want to put Jared Goff back into that game manager role, not because he can't carry the Detroit Lions, but go out there, take the load off of him, and make sure that you can run that football with David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, get him going in the receiving game, and get those guys acclimated. Go out there and spread the football around. That's the Detroit Lions way. And we know that they're going to be in the goal line situation. They're going to run the football as much as possible. As far as the defense for the Detroit Lions, they played solid early on. Then Cooper Kupp went out there and he did Cooper Kupp things. That does bother me with the secondary of the Detroit Lions, because they are so young, but they have some veteranship on the back end as well. When you look at what Cooper Kupp was able to do, Cooper Kupp had 14 catches for 110 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Now, Puka Nacua got injured in this game. But when I go back and I look at what the Lions were not able to do against Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they faced each other in the NFL playoffs, Mike Evans had 8 catches for 147 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. You can't have that. And I'm looking at guys like Terrion Arnold, who is a rookie, to go out there and continue to play well. He played very well last week. And I'm looking at Carlton Davis. He's the former cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that he can go out there and he can give Mike Evans and Chris Godwin a lot of problems. And this is why. He practiced a lot against those guys for years. Now, I'm not saying that Carlton Davis is a true number 1 corner and he's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. I'm not saying that. But when you practice against your teammates, you pick up on tendencies. And he got the practice against Baker Mayfield as well. Now, this is a different system that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are running from what Dave Canales was running last season. Liam Cohen, he has these guys going into the right situation. I'm going to talk about that when I talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But this defense on the back end, they have to step up. You can't let Mike Evans and Chris Godwin go out there and beat you over the top. You have to slow down the passing attack. The Detroit Lions run defense is very good. They had one of the better run defenses last season as well. And Aaron Glenn does a very good job against stopping the run. It's just the pass. And I do think as the season progresses, these young players will step up. You look at Brian Branch. He's a very good safety. And he was a rookie last season. But I'm looking at Amik Robinson, Terrion Arnold, and Carlton Davis to be the deciding factors in this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because I know the front seven, they're going to do their thing. You have Aiden Hutchinson, who is one of the best defensive ends in all of the NFC. He is a great player to have around. You look at Marcus Davenport. He's a very good run stopper. He had half a sack last week. Alim McNeil is very good against the run. And Aiden Hutchinson did have a sack last week as well. DJ Reader, if he can play in this game, and he is questionable, he's a very good run stopper, a very good pocket pusher as well. And that's what you want to do with Baker Mayfield, force him to get into the turnovers. He had 2 interceptions last time these two teams played. This is a man that is coming off a great game last week against the Washington Commanders. And we all know this, a red-hot Baker Mayfield is a scary Baker Mayfield to face. So slow down that run game. And you really just want the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go out there and just run the football, because you don't want them to go out there and start playing pitch and catch with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and those key weapons that they have. But I do think the Detroit Lions will put up a very good fight in this game. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're out for revenge because the last time these two teams faced each other, it was a close game. It came down to a late drive. Baker Mayfield had already thrown an interception earlier in the game. He throws an interception right in the middle of the field. And that ended the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They ended their playoff hopes. Well, they ended their playoff run. And that sucked. But you're coming off a great game last week. They went out there and they destroyed the Washington Commanders. Granted, the Washington Commanders, they're not even close to the level of the Detroit Lions. But Baker Mayfield went out there and he played with a lot of confidence. There was a lot of questions. How would this team look with a brand new offensive coordinator and Coach Liam? Well, it looked good. Baker Mayfield was 24 of 30 on the day, 289 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions. That's the key. You have to take care of the football. When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take care of the football, they have one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. They can go out there and they can single-handedly win you games with that offense alone. And they were able to do that last season. And their defense stepped up in terms of just putting pressure on the quarterback because they blitzed a lot. But Baker Mayfield has to take care of the football. You do not want to give the Detroit Lions multiple opportunities to go down there and score, because the Detroit Lions are not your typical NFL team. They will get an interception and they'll start to bleed and drain the clock, and they'll try to use time possession against you, and they'll put Baker Mayfield even more behind the 8 ball to where he's just trying to go out there and make up with the time loss. You don't want to do that. Slow the game down, and Coach Lim did a very good job of that. It was a beautiful screenplay that happened last week against the Washington Commanders. 3rd and long. Dumps it down to Chris Godwin. The offensive lineman got out there. They converted a first down, and that will lead to a touchdown as well. Baker Mayfield had a great connection last week with Mike Evans. He had 2 receiving touchdowns, 5 catches for 61 receiving yards, and Chris Godwin was perfect. 8 targets, 8 catches, 83 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. And Rashard White had 6 catches for 75 receiving yards. And I was talking about this as well. How would they use those running backs? Well, Rashard White was mostly the receiving back last week. You did give him 15 carries for 31 yards. He only averaged 2.1 yards a carry. You hate to see that because you were thinking that the run game would be in a better situation. But when you look at Bucky Irving, he had 9 carries for 62 yards. That's 7 yards a carry. Now, one of those were a big run that went for 31 yards. If you paid close attention to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the last few years, you would have known this. Since Ron Jensen got injured and he wasn't able to play football and he's now retired, they have been able to run the football. Not because the running backs have been bad, it's because they cannot get a push with their offensive line. Every quarterback is better when they have a consistent run game. The thing is this with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have so many good weapons. You can just have a half decent run game to work off of play action, and those guys can get behind cornerbacks. You want to go out there and expose the secondary of the Detroit Lions. And that's going to come with Baker Mayfield taking care of the football. Feed Mike Evans, feed Chris Godwin, feed Cade Otton as well, the big tight end. I didn't forget about him because he had a very good season last season. Now, last week, he only had 1 catch for 5 yards, but he did not have to do much. You also look at another wide receiver who's come out of nowhere, and Jalen. He had a receiving touchdown last week. Not only just that, he had a big play. He went for 32 yards. You're now having these guys step up around Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and that's a scary thing to see. Because if they can keep this up, they can make a deep push in the NFL playoffs. So the key to victory, try to get the run game going, slow the game down with Baker Mayfield, and take care of the football. I trust Coach Lim to go out there and do the right thing against this defense of the Detroit Lions. When I looked at the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week, they did a very good job of getting to Jaden Daniels. He only got sacked twice, but he was running out of there, and he did have 3 fumbles. He was getting out of there fast. Jared Goff does not have elite speed like Jaden Daniels. You have Vita Vea, Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey, if he can play in this game because he's questionable. All those guys can get after the quarterback. I would not blitz as much in this game because Jared Goff is a very good quarterback against the blitz. But not only that, you have a guy in Coach Johnson that will recognize the blitz and it will eat you up like how they did last year. They have to generate pressure with their original front 4 to front 5 guys. And it's okay to go out there and send a blitz every now and then, but you don't want to do it as much. And this is also another reason why you don't want to just start sending a lot of blitzes like Todd Bowles loves to do. Antoine Winfield, your best player in your secondary, was a top safety last season. He's going to be out for the next couple of weeks. He's dealing with injury. He's going to be out for this game. You have elite weapons like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. They can all kill you in the receiving game. And yes, I said Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is a running back, but he's a receiving running back. They can put him inside the slot, and next thing you know, he's going 30, 40 yards deep down the field. They also have Sam Laporta as well. The one thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a very good linebacker that can go out there and cover guys in space across the middle like it's no tomorrow. And Levante David, a very good linebacker. He's complete, can make pass coverage plays. He can do a lot of good things against the run. This is the type of game he's going to go out there and show out in. I'm looking at Jamel Dean to step up. Zion McCollum is questionable to play in this game, but he's on pace to play in this game. I'm looking at the quarterbacks to go out there and to have a big day. So both of these teams, they have weaker secondaries, but they're young and they're inexperienced. That's just the one thing I'm worried about here. And with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not having Antoine Winfield, I'm worried about that even more. With that being said, I'm going to take the Detroit Lions to win this game, 31-28. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game, the Detroit Lions or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.